We can actually produce another, race, we're going to have more women than men, especially with the men falling prey to the patriarchy the way they are. And I don't know, I want to sound corny, but, in Du Bois's on the coming of John at the end, or the coming of John, where he talked about how he, killed a slave master, and then, because slave master came on his property for, trying to interrupt him from learning and from progressing. He had been to the city and he'd seen everything, and then he came back home in the country and he tried to show what he learned, and the slave master wasn't having it. And that's the same situation that it is today. And he killed his slave master. So we're embarking upon a new era where there's a lot of different races. I mean, we've always had Hispanic people in the area I've come from. Most definitely, we've had. Let's see. I'm gonna wipe the screen. Sorry. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. We've had a number of Asian cultures as well as American Indian, and just could not imagine how many cultures that we've had. Other people that don't come from Virginia don't understand how diverse it is, because we get a lot of cross-cultural diversity in reference to who's there, and intermarriages in the military, and also people that were already here. Yeah, we get some people from New Orleans and what have you, but you understand, we are not problematic as far as our understanding of race. But when I go to places such as California, and I've heard several complaints and rants about it, I mean, people know California. If you've been there, you know it. And it's de facto segregation, and black people in certain areas, and it's irritating. Very materialistic, but I think that's part of California's culture. But also, just a lack of relation to the African American culture only in certain areas. You can go to like parts of LA or parts of Northern California in the East Bay. You know exactly where you have to go. If you go anywhere else, you're going to get that look like, what are you doing here? I've actually walked in grocery stores in both California and Florida, and I've been the only black person in there every single time I've walked in there. Target, the store, go in there, they duck behind counters at Target because they had never seen a black person. They must have thought I was in a gang or something. They thought I was probably in an Asian gang, which is funny because they always relate to the other culture. As far as African American cultures are concerned, they don't give you the, privilege of being African American. They see it as some type of demeaning function of being the skin color. We see it as a privilege, and that's something that we need to change in this country. And I think that became so prominent in both California and Florida. They do have a heavy Hispanic influence, and if you guys have seen, lately I've tweeted about the mestizos and the history of the Hispanic cultures and climate, and the way they had the caste system, which basically separated what they considered, what we would call mulatto, from the other European type Hispanic people, and those Hispanic people were considered closer to white. So obviously you're going to have a problem with internalized racism within a community, and they weren't told anything about their slave history or African ancestry until, a lot of times, believe it or not, they came over here. So they really, really, really don't, in some circumstances, have any knowledge. Puerto Ricans I've seen, and Cubans tend to have a higher knowledge than Mexicans and other forms of Hispanic culture, or if you prefer Latino culture, whatever they want to call themselves. So, we get to a point where it's frustrating because you're going through the same things over and over again. And we've been through this type of racism before, which is why I'm just, we did go through the white culture, and yes, each new wave of immigration brings a different breed, but this is breeding ignorance right now. No one wants to separate different variations of the black skin color into black and brown, or to white and this and that and the other. Nobody wants to do that. We're unified for a reason, whether Pan-Africanism, is controversial or not. To some white people it is. So I